over 3 years of work. $3 million spent for this one moment on this one clip to potentially just see his friend plummet to his death. Jimmy Chin is insane. Free Solo is nuts. It is up there amongst the most epic accomplishments in the world of documentary, and quite possibly the world of cinema ever. Nobody harnesses extremes like Jimmy does. Jimmy Chin co-directs all of his films with his wife, Chai Vasarhelyi.
Thank you, National Geographic, for believing in us.
My favorite thing about Jimmy and Chai is that they don't really employ techniques that have never been seen before. They don't get crazy with equipment, and they don't really tell stories that have never been seen before either. They simply utilize extremes to make you and me completely entranced by their work. Their approach is often understood as a merging of popular techniques often found in traditional documentary filmmaking with those of cinema verite. Free Solo is the most dominant example of that. Let's break this down. The fact that Alex could fail and that would result in his death presented actually a really incredible opportunity to document under the structure of cinema verite, untouched and unfolding as it happened. It feels like it's actually happening in real time, along with the extreme, absurd nature of what he's doing. What's fascinating to me about this, they were able to split from the typical nature of cinema verite films and actually use multiple cameras planted in various locations and drones to capture a wildly cinematic experience sequentially as it went down. However, and it's important to note, the documentary is actually told in more of a traditional documentary filmmaking style. Traditional interviews.
Obviously I get interview questions about it all the time. It's like, oh, would you like to do that? And I've always been like, no, well maybe, we'll see, who knows? But like in the back of your mind, you're like, yes, for sure.
And some obvious coordinating with Alex, which communicate to us that Alex was kind of part of the planning of making this documentary. To oversimplify what I'm saying, Alex was aware of there being a camera there, which is often the case in many documentaries. Due to the high stakes nature of this, Jimmy and Alex actually openly talk in the film, which is in line with cinema verite style. Jimmy actually implants himself into the story.
Sitting above the boulder pitch, essentially.
Yeah, it's distracting.
But they talk about all that goes down and how difficult it will be to document this because Jimmy might be seeing his friend fall to his death, and that is about as extreme as it gets. Which brings me to my last point about the documentary here. Yes, Alex is the subject of the film, but I think we could make a sound argument here that actually the extreme nature of what Alex is taking on really becomes the subject of the film in this way. That's really the piece that is drawing us in. We've seen films of people climb in crazy conditions and really life-threatening situations, but none quite as significant and well done as this. There are so many things that can be learned from this. The more extreme your documentary subject is, the more you're going to be able to lean into the immediacy and the rawness that otherwise would maybe be a little difficult to tap into. Cinema verite prevails in these situations. With the steady staple of the extreme in your story, the more you may be able to implement predictable planning and coordination into your piece. This will allow you to get even closer to the subject and create an even more immersive documentary. The magical blending of these techniques is key, but it's incredibly hard to do. Finally, to close out, the extreme is like measuring the degree of your conflict in your story, which is an element that exists in every great story. I promise you, the more extreme your conflict, the more extreme your connection to your audience can be. Peace out.